be here. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about what adoption in the cloud looks like. My first connect was 2019 when we were doing a hands-on workshop showing how to run VMs on Graviton. It was A72 based. Not every workload had performance, showing Nginx, doing some cross builds. We've come a long way, right? So Grant set it up rightly. Every major hyperscaler has ARM-based CPUs deployed in production. In fact, we're going to hit 50% mark when it comes to shipping compute to the top hyperscalers this year, right? And this includes all the general purpose workloads across a broad variety of use cases that runs on the ARM-based CPUs, and also the CPU attached with the NVIDIA GPUs, right? So AI use cases that Grant mentioned, I'll touch briefly upon that as well, right? So the reason I share this stat is what this means is software developers are increasingly building natively on ARM, right? And we'll see some of the trends there and the opportunities for us to kind of accelerate this adoption further. A lot of this obviously starts with the innovation from ARM Neoverse, being the silicon innovation, the engineering collaboration we have with the hyperscalers and the broader cloud market, right? So this drives adoption across the software ecosystems, right? And one of the key pillars of that is the first-party software adoption at the hyperscalers, right? So whether it's Amazon Prime Day running on Graviton with increasing scale each year, number of services, and also the back-end scale, the flexibility of spinning up and down instances at that scale, or it's apps like Google Search and Ad running on Google Axion, Microsoft Teams, which consists of hundreds, if not thousands, of microservices, a lot of them open source based, natively built on COBOL, right, or Oracle DB running in OC. And these are just some of the US hyperscalers that I mentioned, right? So that's one of the, when we look at adoption across the cloud market, right, driving this massive software stacks being built on ARM that are first party at the hyperscalers is one big pillar of it. Obviously, that along with all the years of investments we are making in the ecosystem, right? So whether it's ARM engineering efforts across the software stack, a lot of the projects done by this group, right? Thank you for all your contributions over the years across the different layers that kind of enables the foundational pieces, right? We got to a point where developers are doing multi-arc, right? And a lot of cases they're building first for ARM, right? And there are use cases that drive that. And there's increasing awareness of the value prop that the software developer community can get from building on ARM, right? So if you look at communities like CNCF, the Cloud Native Foundation, over 95, majority of the graduated and incubated projects there build natively on ARM, right? So these are the software projects that can underpin the cloud infrastructure, right? So these are ready to deploy and being deployed at scale for various use cases, right? So tremendous growth there. We put out a dashboard that lists a large number of open source and commercial software that supports ARM, right? Work with us, we kind of continue to grow that, improve, and let the developers kind of get started, lower that friction, the barrier to adoption type of initiative. So what does this look like when it comes to trends in terms of where we are coming from and where we go next, right? So Grant touched upon the foundational work done over the years. That kind of, I like how we put it, right? Like it's an exponential growth, right? Once you lower the barrier for adoption or remove the friction, whatever you want to call it, you can get to your applications at scale much faster, right? So this is what we see, right? You have your the tool chain ready, so to speak, right? Grant talked about GitHub. There are other build tool chain and CI/CD environments that developers can just natively build. And then you can get to optimizing your workloads, right? So we've been also working on various cloud workloads that are benchmarked and optimized for a lot of the SaaS providers and even enterprise app companies to kind of build on ARM, right? So this is where you get the scale, right? Your tool chain is ready, your foundational work is done, and then you get companies like SAP and Databricks and others kind of build at scale, right? So in a lot of cases, these are benefits that their customers can directly leverage, and in a lot of cases, these are agnostic, right? So if you are a SaaS provider and it doesn't matter where your backend infrastructure runs for your cloud, for your customers, but you get the TCO benefit, right? So that's kind of the main driver for these apps is the TCO benefits you get out of it, right? So, and then when we look at where we go next, we are continue to invest in the maturity of the ecosystem, right? So When it comes to AI, ML, and running AI on CPU use cases, we're kind of investing in upstreaming performance optimizations to all the key frameworks, right? So whether it's PyTorch, Onyx, JAX, we kind of want to make sure that all the AI on CPU use cases, whether it's traditional ML or Gen AI use cases like inferencing, offline use cases or NLP, running the deep learning recommendation engines, we are seeing this deployed in the cloud from end customers, right? And the reason is TCO, right? Get the cost benefits of running these use cases, whether it's in offline mode or running small language models on the CPU, that you can get TCO benefits of running it, right? GPUs are also hard to available, so if these are use cases that fit well on the CPU, your tokens per second are acceptable, then you are able to do this meaningfully, right? So we kind of optimizing these stacks, and that's kind of the big focus, one of the big focus areas for us in the next year. Now, one of the most interesting thing to me personally out of all this work is hearing about what the customer benefits are, right? So obviously we see this come out in different testimonials. We did a webinar with Spotify and Google last week where they're basically moving everything on ARM, right? They see over 2x performance benefits. They have 40% plus cost savings, and their journey has been relatively smooth, right? Not much of heavy lifting for them to move their x86-based apps over to the Axion platform, right? We see this across the board, right? So you might have seen Uber engineering teams put out their blogs and how they have been migrating over 2,500 plus stateless services, and they're doing more, right? We work closely with them on OCI and Google Cloud. These are huge, and they have their own build chain, right? They don't use GitHub, they use their own build chain, some open source, some homegrown, but again, the journey has been relatively smooth, and they get massive advantages of moving, right? So we see increasing adoption across different customers, wide range of use cases, and the software stack underneath, right? So it's kind of exciting to see that. I think the clicker has given up on me. All right. So we don't stop there, right? So we want to continue to accelerate this adoption. And earlier this year, we launched our initiative called ARM Cloud Migration. This is an effort from us working closely with our partners, including Linaro, where we want to accelerate these migrations, right? So there are a number of ways we are kind of going about it. One of them is providing as much recipes and how-to guides. We call them learning paths. We have over 100 of these that developers can just leverage, right? You can migrate your own code bases, and a lot of the time it's cloud native, and if you can refer these guides and documentation, and you can get going. We are also doing a lot of developer evangelism, whether it's through our programs. Some of you in this group are aware of like ARM Innovators and other initiatives. But we also have like hands-on workshops we've been doing for customers and partners, code-alongs, which are our virtual workshops, right? So we're kind of doing more to reach the end developers who are building on ARM. And then for any reason, if you are stuck or you see blockers, right, we want to unblock your gaps, you can reach out directly to ARM engineering teams. We can provide the expertise, right? So if you go to arm.com/migrate, this is where you can check out all the online resources and ways to connect directly, whether it's through GitHub or if you want to do it more traditional way with ARM, right? And we've been partnering with Linaro on this over the years, right? We have multiple projects that we've been working together on, such as Windows Perf as an example. Linaro has also been instrumental in driving large code bases for tier 1 SaaS providers, and kind of doing those complex engineering engagements that are required, right? So we will continue to do that, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of engage with us in this community, right? So that's kind of my call to action here. And then I think with that, thank you for your time, and look forward to talking to some of you over the couple of days. Thank you.